critics are in love with 8th Grade. Read what the almost universally positive reviews say about the directorial debut of Massachusetts native Bo Burnham. Related link: Hamilton's Bo Burnham on how his own middle school experience did, or did not, inspire 8th Grade. In most of Boston.com's film review roundups, we try to give you a well-rounded look at both the good and bad of what critics are saying about a movie so that you can decide for yourself whether it's worth seeing in theaters. In the case of 8th Grade, the directorial debut of 27-year-old Hamilton native Bo Burnham, that task proves difficult. The film, which follows an awkward 13-year-old named Kayla Elsie Fisher during her last week of middle school, had a 98% freshness rating on critical aggregation site Rotten Tomatoes at the time of this article's publication. Most of the positive reviews are outright raves rather than general endorsements, as well, with words like "marvelous" thrown around, and at least one critic naming 8th Grade one of the best films of the year. Ad Choice Advertising and Red invented by T's advertisement of the more than 100 reviews collected by the site at publication time, only 2 are rotten, one of which comes from Armand White, a famously contrarian critic who was kicked out of the New York Film Critics Circle and is known for aggressively panning the most universally beloved films. Here are some of the highlights from critic reviews of 8th Grade. The good Peter Travers of Rolling Stone gave 8th Grade a perfect 5 stars out of 5 and called it one of the best movies of the year. First-time filmmaker Bo Burnham, the 27-year-old, comedy and music dude from YouTube, has taken the tiniest details in the life of a 13-year-old girl moving through the digital age, filtered them through his own madly inventive headspace, and created the kind of movie that leaves you laughing hysterically or fighting back tears, often simultaneously. In his 3.5-star review for the Boston Globe, Tybor praised both Burnham's writing directing effort and Fisher's performance as Kayla, which he said is a pretty brilliant piece of acting. Kayla is, in short, an American girl in the early decades of the 21st century, and writer-director Bo Burnham has captured her existence, hopes and fantasies and daily mortifications, with a precision that makes your heart die and get reborn with every scene. At times, 8th Grade plays like a nature documentary about life and death on the savannas of suburbia. David Sims of The Atlantic called Fisher's performance astonishing, and said he was stunned by how well Burnham directed the film. It's rare that teen movies have the kind of visual acuity and verve that Burnham achieves here. In tackling the experiences of a 13-year-old, Burnham gave himself a genuine challenge for his first movie. With 8th Grade, he's not only met that challenge but also set a high bar for every future attempt. Continuing the dual praise for Burnham and Fisher, Jake Coyle of the Associated Press described Fisher's performance as extraordinary, and said that Burnham's initial rise to fame through YouTube left him well-suited to tackle the film. 8th Grade is a revelation of both a remarkably natural young performer and a clever, sensitive young filmmaker. As if with battle scars from his youthful days consumed by social media, Burnham has returned from the millennial trenches like a war reporter. The so-so in a mostly positive review, Variety's Peter DeBruch said that despite his young age, Burnham was one of the few directors at the Sundance Film Festival who had found his voice. But he also dinged Burnham for occasionally dabbling in clichés. Though so much of 8th Grade feels achingly honest, Burnham can't help but fall back on a few of the stock coming-of-age movie clichés. Kayla's obsessed with a classmate named Aiden, Luke Prale, for whom the soundtrack swells and the world moves in slow motion every time he appears, and she barely notices Gabe, Jake Ryan, the weird kid who wants more than naked selfies or a kick trip to third base from her. The ugly advertisement other than the aforementioned Wipe the Soul Rotten review collected by Rotten Tomatoes came from The New Yorker's Richard Brody, who found that the protagonist wasn't fully developed, and that Burnham's script was overly sentimental. Burnham's eye for detail and nuance is keen, and several scenes, focusing on the sexual aggression that Kayla faces and the strength of character that she summons to resist it, have a tightly scripted tension, but he smothers the story in sentiment, stereotypes, and good intentions. Despite Fisher's calm and vivid performance, Kayla remains merely a collection of traits. By Taboola. Sponsored links. Promoted links. You may la Cable Bell say hello to the app which gets you speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. Babelando Chapel. Are you afraid of losing your luggage? Don't worry now, Chaplain a Throne, free online game. This game will make you stay at home throny. Free online game on WoW. Fashionable, sexiest camo wedding dresses, fantasy according to Mana. Fashionable and vintage real estate, Hollywood-inspired homes in a 4-tower development in Dubai. Vintage real estate and Top Man Fun. 10 most breathtaking highways of the world. Top Man Fun.